Okay, so I'm just gonna talk about this deck I built using Ruinator as the heart and soul of the deck. Its strategy is to mill yourself until you fill up your graveyard with creatures. You pull out the Ruinator, that was my phone, don't worry about that. And you pull out the Ruinator and you basically just blow people up with a 5/6 flyer. They can come back from the grave, so if they want to Doomblade you, go for the throat you, dismember, well, dismember doesn't work, but anything like that. You just pull them right back out as long as your graveyard is full of creatures. So we're going to start. There's the Ruinator. He's the heart and soul of the deck. 5/6 flyer. 3 mana. Beautiful, beautiful card, especially if you're playing Mill Yourself, which is exactly what this deck does. That's that card. The next card, he's just another Wimpy Pook to fill up the graveyard, as well as a very good card, is Delver of Secrets. He can transform into a 3/2 flyer on the turn 2 if you reveal a sorcery or instant on your first draw. It's absolutely amazing card. If anybody who's playing blue should be playing Delver. You can just swarm the field with flyers with the Ruinators and the Delver of Secrets, plus he's just cannon fodder for the Ruinators to exile from the graveyard to get them onto the field. The next creature card I'm using is Screeching Scab. He's a simple 2/1 mill 2 when he comes into the battlefield. Great creature to put into the graveyard, great creature to put cards into the graveyard with. It's 2 mana mill 2 as well as getting a creature out of it. He's just perfect for this deck. And that leads to another Scab, the Armored Scab. He's the exact same thing, except he's only a 1/4, 3 mana, and he mills 4. You still get the mill into the graveyard. He's also a creature to fill up the graveyard with, and it's just beautiful in combination with the Screeching Scabs and the mill sorceries and instants that you have in this deck. The next card here, we have Deranged Assistant. Now, I'm not too sure if I want to keep the Deranged Assistant. He's kind of a silly card because the upkeep of milling yourself is very, very high. Requires a lot of mana. When you're milling a lot of your own mana, you don't have, or not a lot of mana, but it's a lot of turns, and it's not the greatest card. I'm thinking of replacing it with either Runechanter's Pike, just to buff the Delver of Secrets and the Ruinators, or putting in my 4-drop Nation Blades that I do have, but I'm not too sure. The Deranged Assistants also do fill up the graveyard with themselves if you mill them, which is a good way to exile creatures from the graveyard to play the Ruinators. The next card here, going into sorceries and instants, we have Dream Twist. Absolutely beautiful card. It's the heart and soul of the sorcery and instant mill base. It's simple, mill 3 cards and then flashback for 1 extra mana to mill another 3 cards. So pull him out on turn 1, you mill 3 cards. If you get a lucky enough mill, which doesn't normally happen, you can mill 3 creatures and get ready to play your Ruinator for turn 3. 5/6 flyer on the field on turn 3 is just insane. The next card we have here, second greatest instant or sorcery mill card we have here, is the Increasing Confusion. This card is great at any point in time of the game, even if it's early game. You just blow it up with a 1 mill yourself for 1. Maybe you get lucky, maybe you get a creature, maybe you get a pesky little land out of the way. If it's late game, you don't want to flood yourself. And then its flashback is even better. Using this card, just this card for milling, I've managed to mill both myself down to 15 and my opponent down to about 15 cards in the library. It's just an insanely great way to mill people to death. Tap it for 5 on the first play, so that's 5 mills, then tap it for 5 again on the flashback, which is 10. It's just absolutely beautiful. The next card we have with the milling, the 3rd best instant and sorcery, is Thought Scour. Simple, mill 2 cards for 1 mana, great way to start the game, as well as drawing a card. Nobody doesn't like to draw cards, that just doesn't make sense. Then the last card we have here is Forbidden Alchemy. He is he's the least strongest card. That's not proper English, but he's not the greatest card, but he does let you pick a card to keep. So if you're running low on lands, which doesn't normally happen with this deck because we're running a 24, I believe, land base. But if you're running low on lands, or you need to pull into a creature into your hand, like the Ruinator, or you need to pull in a Thought Scour or something like that, or even a Delver, then you can just pull that into your hand with and throw the rest in the graveyard. So it fills up the graveyard as well as puts a card into your hand. There's not really much I can think of to replace that card with, but currently that's that. And then we're going to move into the sideboard. If someone's playing with a Grafdigger's Cage against you, and you're completely boned from playing from the graveyard, then we can switch the entire play style and go into the milling opponent side of things, and then we replace the armored scabs with the Shriekgeists, so you can help. They help mill your opponent, as well as they give you blockers. They're flyers. They would go really well with either Trepanation Blade or Runechanter's Pike if you chose to go that route. So you can mill your opponent, as well as get some really good creatures out on the field that are, for the most part, unblockable because of their flying. Unfortunately, if you're playing white tokens or playing against other Delvers or Angels and stuff like that, then you're kind of boned because they fly and they're probably stronger than you are. And then we run into the Trepanation Blade, which I put in as a sideboard to help mill the opponent, as well as get some damage out there. Just kind of scary to see a Trepanation Blade equipped to a creature, so it kind of helps the intimidation factor. The Trepanation Blade I'm only running 2 of in the sideboard. Every other card I've shown you I'm running 4 of in the main deck and the sideboard. The cards I choose to take out for the Trepanation Blade is the Forbidden Alchemy, just because they are the least strong cards to mill yourself with. And then going onto the land base, just running simple islands, 24 of them. That way, if you realize it's like a 1-drop deck, basically, it doesn't require a lot of mana. The highest mana costing card is 3 mana. In the main deck, at least, Trepanation Blade is technically 5 mana, 3 to play and 2 to equip. But normally, if you're running cards that, like a deck with a 3 mana cost as your highest, you're going to run 18 to 20 lands. But you're going to be milling some of your lands in the process of milling yourself to pull out the Scab Ruinator, so you do want to have quite a bit of lands. But yeah, that's basically all I've got for you today. The sideboard is incomplete. I'm not sure if I am going to keep everything in this deck. Like I said, I kind of want to get rid of the Deranged Assistants. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. It plays very nicely. I win about 75% of the time. It's not very convincing, but it's definitely a fun way to play when you start playing like 6 different spells in a turn. Flashing back, searching through your library, searching through your graveyard, milling cards, just going banana shit crazy, and it's just a very fun way to play. Not the most consistent deck, but very, very fun. So if you're interested in making this, it's about $40 to $50 for all the cards. It's a very inexpensive deck, very fun way to play. So I hope you enjoyed this deck tech of my own, and have a great day.